In this video, we are covering 3 steps to making sure you are prepared for any malfunctions. This channel is designed to provide useful information about skydiving. That being said, whatever information you find about skydiving on the internet, including on this channel, should always be discussed and counter-verified with a certified instructor from your skydiving association, your drop zone, and/or a rigger. Let's all be wiser and safer skydivers. Hey there, this is Catherine Bernier from Skydive Vibes, sharing the passion of skydiving and helping you become a better and safer skydiver. So if you're new here, consider subscribing not to miss our weekly videos all about skydiving. Every year, a lot of drop zones are hosting what we call safety days. Those days are meant to remind ourselves with the safety procedures and the possible malfunctions of the sport. Every skydivers should attend to those days to make sure they are reminded of the risk of the sport and how to react for any problems they can have in a skydive. We all know skydiving is an extreme sport that has a lot of risks, so how we're making sure the sport remains safe and enjoyable for everyone by making sure we are aware of what can happen and how to react to any problems. So this video covers 3 steps to make sure you are ready for any situation. So let's start. Step 1. Define your decision altitude. Any skydiver should have that discussion with an instructor whenever they start in the sport. Well, at some point in a skydive, when something goes wrong, you need to have a break-off point where you need to take a decision. Because you can fight, for example, a malfunction for thousands and thousands of feet, but at some point, the ground's coming up. So we need to take a decision. That being said, a good practice is to define your own decision altitude, at which you're gonna make sure that if you don't have a proper canopy at that height, you're gonna cut away and do your emergency procedures. The skydiving associations are giving you some recommendations, but that decision is always up to you, your skills, and your experience. Make sure you have a good discussion with your instructor to help define your own decision altitude. One thing to consider while you're discussing it with your instructor is that the TSO requirements in terms of the canopy opening speed are such that a reserve canopy is supposed to be opened by 300 feet and a main canopy is supposed to be opened by 500 to 1,000 feet. So you gotta consider that when defining your decision altitude. Also consider that all the canopies are different, so those numbers may be affected by the type of canopy, the condition of those, but also the type of jump you're doing and the free fall speed you're at. So all those elements needs to be considered to make sure that your decision altitude will cover all those elements and making sure this altitude is the good one for you to react at the right time. Always keep in mind that as soon as you know what to do with a malfunction or a possible problem, you should react the quickest possible. Step 2. Know and practice your emergency procedures. A good practice is to rehearse those emergency procedures at every jump and even multiple times during the jump preparation. So whether on the ground or just before jumping, I know I do it a lot of times to making sure that my brain and my muscles are ready to react without thinking. The proper way to do so can be defined with a list of keywords, and those keywords were defined in a recent article in Skydive Mag by Julian Barthel. I'll put a link in the description below to the original article. So those keywords are altitude, look, locate, cut, away, and reserve. Let's check them out again with a good example of an emergency procedure. This example and keywords used are based on the principle of having one hand per handle procedure. Now, if you've learned something different with 2 hands on each handles, you are better to stick what you learned and also discuss it with your instructor when in doubts. A good element to think about is that when we are rehearsing and practicing on the ground, our handles are not moving around. They are there and we know where they are. Thing is, while you are in free fall at different position in speeds, those handles can be at a different position than what you're used to. So in order to avoid grabbing something else than your handle and pulling as hard as you can to save your life, consider do a jump and spend some time with the different position you can fly in the sky to define the location of your handles. So while you're belly flying, sit flying, back flying, just consider locating those handles to make sure you are prepared, whatever position you're in, to pull them out. Another element that is very important whenever you are going out for a jump is doing a good gear check and doing it multiple times during the jump preparation. Because this is how you're going to be able to avoid a lot of possible malfunctions just by making sure that your equipment is in right condition and at its place. I recently did a video about how to do a good gear check, and you can check it out by clicking here in the corner, or the link is going to be in the description as well. Step 3. Know the possible malfunctions and the way to react to them. So, a malfunction is any failure of the system to provide a normal rate of descent. For example, if once you've opened your canopy, you're supposed to be falling at that rate, well, if you're not falling at the rate you're supposed to, you're having a malfunction. And this includes the loss of canopy control as well. Malfunctions are normally caused by one or a combination of the following: bad body position at opening, bad packing, and or faulty equipment. And there are some malfunctions that just happen. Parachutes are good, but not perfect. The recommended procedure to any malfunctions is to try to fix it twice or by 2,500 feet. And if you have no success, execute your emergency procedures. And by that we mean cut away the main canopy and open your reserve. And during any possible malfunction or problem, the main keyword is altitude awareness. Because if you consider that you have your decision altitude and also that you want to be able to clear your malfunction by the recommended height of 2,500 feet, you need to know what altitude you're at any given time. So make sure you are always looking at your altimeter to know where you stand. So now, really quick, let's go over the different type of malfunctions. The first type is not really what we can call a malfunction, but those are problems that can happen whenever you open your main canopy. At that point, the skydivers has time to react and analyze the situation and has time to try to fix it. We can think about line twists, end cell closure, or a slider up, for example. The second type are low speed malfunctions. Here again, you do have a canopy above your head and you have a slower rate of descent, so you have time to look up and react properly. Here again, altitude awareness is very important, and you can try to fix the problem twice or by 2,500 feet as they recommend before doing your emergency procedures. The third type are the high-speed malfunctions, and for those ones you need to react fast because you're most likely not having a proper canopy above your head, so your fall rate is still at a high speed, so you need to react fast. Again, altitude awareness is very important, even more at those type of malfunctions, because keep in mind that you're falling fast, and make sure you respect your decision altitude and do your emergency procedures. The fourth type is the double canopy opening. That one can be very tricky. So you want to make sure you have a proper discussion with an instructor about that, just so that you are aware of what to do in which situation. But that being said, the Skydive Mag article that I've linked in the description below contains kind of the recommendations depending on the type of double opening that you have. That type of malfunction can also happen if you fail to take a proper decision before your AED fires up. Now again, there are many things to consider depending of the type of double opening that you have, so make sure to have a good discussion with an instructor or check out the description below to get the link to the article. At any given time, you want to make sure you can ask those questions to know if you have a good canopy above your head. Is it there? Is it square and free of damage? Can I turn? Can I flare? So those questions are there to help you analyze if you're in control of the canopy you have above your head. Alright, so like I said earlier, I'll put a link in the description below to the Skydive Mag article written by Julian Barthel. So he has designed a chart to summarize everything, which is this one. So what you want to make sure is check out in the description below and get access to it, and you'll also find some download links and help you remind yourself of what to do with what malfunction. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you ever had a malfunction and what it was, so that we can share with the community and learn from each other. Also consider subscribing not to miss our weekly videos that can be about tips and tricks on skydive safety, but also we are doing gear reviews and interviews with pro athletes, so you don't want to miss those videos whenever I put them out, so consider subscribing. On that I tell you, stay safe, keep jumping, and blue skies.